Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book has changed how we think about habits and personal development. Clear's Atomic Habits offers practical ways for developing excellent habits, breaking poor ones, and mastering the small behaviors that lead to spectacular results. Whether you want to better your health, your career, or your overall life satisfaction, the principles in this book can help you on your quest. Imagine if you could improve every aspect of your life by 1% per day. What if seemingly modest modifications led to amazing results over time? In Atomic Behaviors, James Clear uncovers the hidden power of little behaviors and how they can compound to produce life. This is more than just willpower or motivation. It's about developing a system that makes good habits unavoidable and bad habits impossible. Stay with us to the finish and you'll learn practical ways for achieving your goals, no matter how big or small. If you have ever struggled to make long-term adjustments or pondered how successful people develop their habits, this summary is for you. Let us dive in and discover the power of atomic habits together. The astonishing strength of atomic habits. In 2003, a watershed moment arrived for British cycling. Since 1908, British cyclists have only won one gold medal at the Olympic Games. For 110 years, no British cyclist has won the Tour de France. British cyclists performed so poorly that no prominent bike manufacturers wanted to offer bikes to the team for fear of damaging their reputation. However, when the governing body for professional cycling in Britain appointed Dave Brailsford, something unprecedented occurred. What distinguished him from other coaches was his dedication to his strategy, which he dubbed the aggregation of marginal benefits. This method, Brailsford began making minor alterations to his team. These improvements were minor, such as altering the bike seats for more comfort, requiring riders to wear electrically heated overshorts to maintain optimal muscle temperature, and rubbing alcohol on the tires for better grip. These tiny tweaks resulted in improvements and improved outcomes. The team performed admirably at the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. So, how did this happen? How did an ordinary team of athletes become world champions with very little changes? Nobody could have predicted that these tiny efforts would make such a significant difference. Small improvements are frequently overlooked, even if they are only 1%. However, if you pay attention, they are really powerful, and their results are noticeable not immediately, but after several years. Let us see how this works mathematically. If you progress by 1% per day for a year, you will be 37 times better by the end of the year. Habits are like the compound interest of self-improvement. Their impact is not immediately apparent, but it becomes clear after months of practice. The unfortunate issue is that these habits function so slowly that getting rid of harmful behaviors might take a long time. If you consume an unhealthy dinner today, your weight on the scale will remain constant. However, if you continue to do this, you will have hazardous outcomes. As the saying goes, whether you were successful or unsuccessful today is less important than your habits, which define whether you are heading in the right direction or not. How your behaviors influence your identity and vice versa. Why is it so difficult to break bad habits, while good ones are so difficult to form? Despite our best intentions, harmful habits are difficult to break once established. We may try hard to modify them, yet we frequently fail, for the following reasons. 1. We try to modify the wrong things. 2. Our method is ineffective. Many people begin the process of transformation by determining what they wish to achieve. This results in outcome-based habits, but developing identity-based habits allows us to focus on who we want to become. Imagine two persons who wish to quit smoking. When the first individual is offered a smoke, he responds, "No thank you, I am attempting to quit smoking." This remark appears logical, yet it implies that he continues to identify as a smoker who is attempting to change his identity. He wishes to change his actions, but his principles stay constant. When the second person is given a smoke, he says, "No thanks, I do not smoke." Consider the subtle distinction. This small alteration in phrase alters his identity. He no longer identifies as a smoker. When looking for ways to improve, most people do not consider changing their identities. The more proud you are of a certain feature of yourself, the more motivated you will be to develop new behaviors. You simply need to select what you want to become, and by making modest changes in your behaviors, you may demonstrate it to yourself. How to improve your habits in 4 simple steps. In 1898, a psychologist named Edward Thorndike carried out an experiment that illustrated how habits and norms shape our behavior. Thorndike was particularly interested in studying animal behavior, so he began with cats. He placed each cat in a puzzle box. The box had a door that the cat could simply open by pushing a lever or pulling a cable. Most cats would attempt to escape the box by sniffing corners and pawing at the walls. Eventually, they'd find the lever and press it to unlock the door and escape. After 20-30 attempts, it was obvious that the cats had acquired a habitual behavior. Upon inside the box, they would instantly press the escape lever. With repeated practice, the cats made fewer mistakes and concentrated on the solution. Thorndike explained the learning process as follows. Behaviors that create positive results are more likely to be repeated, whereas behaviors that cause negative effects are less likely to be repeated. The process of developing habits is separated into 4 easy parts: cue, crave, respond, and reward. 1. Cue. The cue prompts our brain to initiate a behavior. It serves as a signal to the brain to begin a routine. This might be anything that gives an indication about the possible prize. Because the signal is the initial indication of the reward, it frequently leads to cravings. 2. Cravings. Cravings are the driving factor behind all habits. Without a desire for change, we have no motivation to act. For example, you do not crave smoking cigarettes. Rather, you crave the relaxation they bring. Cravings drive our activities because they are motivated by a desire for a specific goal. 3. Reaction. The reaction is the actual habit you practice, which can take the form of a thought or action. Whether you respond is determined by your motivation and the amount of work required. If an action requires too much effort, it may not become a habit. 4. Reward. The reward is the ultimate goal of every habit. It satisfies your hunger while also teaching you which acts you should remember in the future. The cue recognizes the reward. The craving desires the reward, and the response achieves it. If any of these phases are missing, the activity will not become a habit. Understanding this loop can help you create better habits and break harmful ones. The first law: make it obvious. He didn't look right. I once heard a story about a woman who had spent many years working as a paramedic. She went to a family event and felt really frightened when she saw her father-in-law. She told him that something about his health didn't appear right and insisted that he get to the hospital right away. Just a few hours later, he had surgery at the hospital, which revealed that a major artery was clogged, potentially leading to a heart attack at any time. The woman's attentiveness saved the old man's life. The human brain functions as a prediction machine. It pays close attention to every detail and is continuously aware of what is going on around you. For example, a paramedic can identify a heart attack patient simply by looking at their face, because their brain has learned to recognize clues that anticipate specific outcomes. Similarly, when you practice and pay attention to critical cues, your brain will begin to notice them. These cues become so ingrained in our habits that we hardly notice them. However, before forming new habits, it is critical to pay attention to your existing ones. This can be difficult because our routines are often instinctive and ingrained after years of practice. The most difficult issue is becoming conscious of what you actually do. To accomplish this, create a list of your daily habits. Once you've compiled a complete list, scan each behavior and consider whether it's a good, negative, or neutral habit. Simply score your habits without making any first changes. You must acknowledge what you do. Don't beat yourself up for your mistakes or congratulate yourself on your accomplishments. The process of behavioral transformation always begins with awareness. The best technique to form a new habit. In 2001, researchers in Great Britain ran a 2-week study with 248 adults to help them develop healthier exercise habits. The first group was a control group that only had to record how frequently they exercised. The second group, known as the motivation group, was asked to track their exercise and read publications about its benefits. Additionally, experts informed them that exercising lowers the risk of coronary heart disease and improves heart health. The third group was given the same facts and motivation as the second group, but they were also required to develop a detailed plan for when and where they would exercise. To be more explicit, each member of the third group wrote, "Over the next week, I will engage in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on this day, at this time, in this location." In the first and second groups, only 35 to 38% of participants worked out at least once a week. The motivational presentation had no effect on their conduct. However, in the third group, 91% of participants exercised at least once a week. The sentence they typed down is what researchers refer to as implementation intentions, which are predetermined plans for when to act. Numerous studies have demonstrated that implementation intentions help people stay focused on their goals. Many people believe they lack drive, but the truth is that they are unclear about their goals. They struggle to understand when and where to act. However, the first rule of behavior is to make something evident. Being explicit and clear about your aims gives you useful indications for your habits and allows you to create a strategy for when to act. The main point is that having a clear strategy improves your odds of adhering to a new habit. By specifically identifying the time and place of your actions, you transform nebulous ideas into a concrete plan, increasing the likelihood that you will follow through. Motivation is overrated. The environment is often more important. Anne Thorndike, a primary care physician at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, had a novel notion. She believed she could enhance the eating habits of hospital personnel and visitors without altering their motivation or making any public statements. She and her colleagues performed a 6-month research to improve the architectural design of the hospital cafeteria. The first stage was rearranging the beverages. The refrigerators near the cash registers were exclusively stocked with Coke. They replaced soda with water bottles not only in the fridge, but also at other food stations around the room. Soda was still available in the main refrigerator, but water was now available throughout. Over the next 3 months, soda sales fell by 11.4%, while bottled water sales grew by 25.8%. Similar adjustments were performed to the food arrangements, with consistent results. Nobody noticed the changes, but the impact was tremendous. People frequently choose what to eat based on location rather than personal preference. www.globalwellnessproject.imagen. Imagine walking into your kitchen and discovering a plate of cookies. You may immediately begin eating them, not because you are hungry, but because they are right in front of you. Your behaviors might alter in the same way based on your surroundings and the indications you receive. The environment has a subtle influence on human behavior. Regardless of how varied our personalities are, many behaviors are established automatically as a result of our surrounding conditions. Unfortunately, the circumstances in which we live and work frequently hinder us from engaging in specific actions, since there are no visible indicators to prompt those behaviors. If you want to make a habit a major part of your life, you must make the line a major part of your surroundings. This indicates that in order to develop positive habits, you need to create an environment that encourages them. For example, if you want to drink more water, arrange water bottles throughout your home. If you want to read more, position books in areas where you spend a lot of time. By making minor changes to your surroundings, you can create an environment that naturally fosters positive actions, minimizing the need for motivation alone. The secret to self-control. In 1971, during the 16th year of the Vietnam War, Congressman Robert Steele of Connecticut and Morgan Murphy of Illinois discovered a surprising discovery that startled the American people. While visiting the troops, They discovered that over 15% of the U.S. soldiers deployed to Vietnam were drug users. Follow-up study found that 35% of Vietnam's service members had used heroin, and 20% were hooked to it. This discovery prompted the formation of a specific action office for drug misuse prevention to assist in rehabilitating these service members when they return to the U.S. Lee Robbins, a research director, shown that if the environment is drastically changed, addictions can be quickly eliminated. Soldiers in Vietnam spent their entire time surrounded by indications that prompted heroin use. The drug was easily accessible, the stress of war, fellow soldiers who used drugs, as well as the fear of being away from home and family. However, when the soldiers returned to the U.S., they were in an environment devoid of such signs. Therefore, their routines shifted correspondingly. This Vietnam study calls into question many of our cultural assumptions regarding undesirable habits. Our culture teaches us that all of our issues can be solved with a little discipline. However, subsequent study has shown otherwise. When scientists watched persons with strong self-control, they discovered that they were not significantly different from those who struggled. Instead, disciplined people perform better in life because they avoid enticing situations. Those with the strongest self-control use it the least. If you don't have to maintain self-control all the time, exercising it becomes much simpler. Your energy should be focused on optimizing your surroundings, which is more powerful. Make the cues for your positive behaviors clear and the cues for your negative habits invisible. This indicates that in order to develop positive habits, you need to create an environment that encourages them. For example, if you want to drink more water, arrange water bottles throughout your home. If you want to read more, position books in areas where you spend a lot of time. By making minor changes to your surroundings, you can create an environment that naturally fosters positive actions, minimizing the need for motivation alone. The second law is to make it desirable. How to create an irresistible habit. Ronan Byrne, an electrical engineering student from Dublin, Ireland, enjoyed watching Netflix, but realized he needed to get some exercise. He came up with an idea. He hooked his stationary bike to his laptop and television. Then he wrote a computer program that made Netflix only work when he pedaled at a specific speed. Using temptation in this way made exercise more fun for him. How did this work? It's simple. Connect the required action to the desired action. This strategy, known as temptation bundling, is based on the Premax principle, a psychological principle. This theory suggests that if you associate a less desirable action with a more desirable one, you are more inclined to engage in it. Pairing habits with something you appreciate can make them more appealing or desirable. For example, if you prefer listening to audiobooks but need to exercise, limit yourself to your favorite audiobook while working out. Working out, a less desirable activity, becomes more tempting when combined with something you enjoy, such as listening to an audiobook. This strategy is effective because it mixes immediate reward with long-term advantages, making the habit more appealing. www.muji.org/GMOTJIE. Making the necessary tasks appealing increases your chances of sticking with them. Family and friends influence your habits. We do not choose our earliest behaviors, rather, we mimic them. We follow our family and friends, as well as our church, school, local community, and society as a whole. Every culture and community has its own set of norms that shape our behavior. We unwittingly emulate people around us, picking up their tendencies. We try to manage conflicts and fights the way our parents do. We even impersonate our coworkers. It is a well-known fact that if you are close to someone, you are more inclined to emulate them. A study discovered that if one of your acquaintances is obese, your odds of getting obese increase by 57%, and the same is true in reverse. In a sense, our friends and family serve as invisible peer pressure. We often follow their lead. Of course, peer pressure is only damaging when it produces negative consequences. As a result, the best thing you can do is immerse yourself in a culture that values and promotes positive behavior. Surrounding yourself with people who practice the habits you want to establish will make it easier for you to adopt them. Your environment, including your social circles, has a significant impact on how you behave. Being a part of a supportive group can reinforce beneficial habits and increase the likelihood that you will keep to them. How do you identify and address the underlying reasons of your negative habits? You can make any difficult habit simpler by connecting it to a positive mindset. We frequently say things like, "I have to do this," or that. What if we just altered one word? Say, "I get up to go to work," rather than "I have to get up to go to work." Simply changing the wording shifts your entire perspective. This means you focus on the benefits of your habit rather than the drawbacks and problems. The key to identifying and addressing the causes of your problematic habits is to reframe your link with them. By thinking about things differently, you may transform any difficult habit into a delightful one. For example, if you despise exercising, consider, "I get to exercise and improve my health." This minor alteration in wording emphasizes the favorable consequences over the work required. This reframing can significantly alter how you perceive and handle your habits. By focusing on the benefits and positive features, you may shift your perspective and make it easier to maintain healthy behaviors. This technique helps you see the benefits of your actions, making them more desirable and sustainable in the long run. The third law: make it easy. Walk slowly but never backwards. Habit formation is the process by which a behavior becomes an instinctive reaction after repeated exposure. Habit repetition causes clear physical changes in the brain. For example, musicians have a larger cerebellum than non-musicians. When you repeat an activity, you activate a brain circuit linked with the habit. The time it takes to create a habit is less important. Time has never been a problem. What matters is the pace at which you engage in a specific behavior. Whether you perform something twice in 40 days or 200 times, the frequency is more important than the duration. To develop any habit, you must do it consistently. The key to making habits easier is to take modest, doable actions. The idea is to lessen the friction that comes with adopting a new habit. For example, if you want to start exercising, start with a few minutes per day, rather than committing to an hour-long session. Gradually extend the time as the habit gets more established. Making habits easy and lowering the hurdles to starting them increases the likelihood of sticking to them. Simplify the procedure and divide the habit into smaller phases to make it more manageable. Remember that while progress may be sluggish, as long as you are moving ahead rather than backward, you are on the correct route. Consistent tiny steps will eventually result in substantial results. The law of least effort energy is important, and the brain is built to preserve it whenever feasible. It is human nature to obey the law of least effort, which asserts that when presented with two similar options, individuals would naturally select the one that involves the least amount of work. Every activity involves some level of energy, and the more energy required, the less likely we are to perform it. In some ways, every habit is simply an impediment to achieving your goals. Dieting is an impediment to physical fitness, while meditation is an impediment to mental serenity. You enjoy the outcome more than the habit itself. But if we're all lazy, how do some people accomplish tough tasks? The solution is straightforward, is to create a climate in which doing the correct things is as simple as possible, reducing friction from barriers. Meal delivery services, for example, minimize the friction of grocery shopping, just as dating apps do with social encounters. In the quest to develop healthier habits, look at ways to lower the friction associated with good habits while increasing the friction connected with bad habits. For example, make your training gear easy to find and ready to wear. Alternatively, plan healthful meals in advance to avoid the temptation of junk food. By creating an atmosphere that supports your goals, you make it simpler to stick to good behaviors and more difficult to break them. This strategy allows you to preserve energy while being consistent with your desired behaviors. Finally, you'll be able to reach your goals with less effort. The 2-minute rule can help you avoid procrastinating. If you want to start something big, even if it feels natural to take big leaps, you should start small. We all strive to do too much too soon because we are enthused about the change. The 2-minute rule, which suggests that when you begin a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to complete, you will see that practically any habit can be reduced to a 2-minute version. For example, read 1 page before going to bed every night. Doing 30 minutes of yoga involves getting out my yoga mat. The goal is to make it simple to start a specific habit. Begin by meditating for 1 minute, reading 1 page, folding 1 piece of clothes, or doing something little. Doing something that feels right is an effective tactic. Many people believe that reading 1 page of a book per day is trivial. But what matters is not how much you read or do, but that you do it at all. When you begin the first 2 minutes, establish a ritual that develops to a wider pattern. This is an excellent technique to gain proficiency in any tough skill. Once a habit is formed, you will eventually be able to perform the activity flawlessly and consistently. You can combine the 2-minute rule with habit-shaping approaches to guarantee that your habit helps you reach your final goal. After forming a habit, progress to intermediate phases and repeat the procedure until you are an expert. Only then should you progress to the next level. Eventually, you'll realize that the habit you sought to develop has become a part of your identity. How to develop positive habits. Bad habits are unavoidable, and they are impossible to overcome. In the summer of 1830, Victor Hugo, a French writer, was up against an impossible deadline. He promised his publisher a new book 12 months ago, but had made little progress. Instead, he began working on other projects, which delayed his commitment. Frustrated, Hugo's publisher set a severe 6-month deadline for him to finish the work by February 1831. Faced with this challenge, Hugo proposed an unconventional solution. He gave his assistant all of his clothes and told them to keep them locked up. With no clothes to wear outside, he had little choice but to stay at home and focus on his writing. Hugo spent the entire fall and winter of 1830 writing. His novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, was released 2 weeks ahead of schedule on January 14, 1831. The secret to success isn't simply making good behaviors easier, it is making harmful habits difficult. To make good habits unavoidable and bad habits impossible, you must build your environment to support your objectives. 1. Remove temptations. Hugo removed his clothes to avoid leaving his house, and you too can eliminate objects that lead to negative habits. For example, if you want to eat healthily, eliminate junk food from your home. 2. Increase friction to discourage harmful habits. Make it tough to engage in harmful habits. If you want to quit wasting time on social media, log out or uninstall the apps from your phone. 3. Reduce friction to promote positive habits. Make it as easy as possible to maintain excellent behaviors. If you plan to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothing the night before. 4. Create a good environment. Surround yourself with clues that reinforce your positive habits. If you wish to read more, keep books around your home where you can readily get them. 5. Make commitments. Publicly commit to your goals, making it more difficult to back out. This adds a level of accountability. By intentionally organizing your surroundings and removing impediments, you may make good habits simpler to sustain and harmful habits more difficult to develop. This strategy ensures that you are naturally steered toward behaviors that are consistent with your goals. The 4th law. Make it satisfying, the cardinal rule for behavior transformation. When we have a satisfying experience, we are more likely to repeat it, which makes logical sense. Even minor joys transmit a signal to our brain, saying, "This is good, do it again." Consider chewing gum as an example. The first chewing gums had no flavor, only bland resins that were not delicious at all. However, in 1891, tastes were introduced, making the experience more pleasurable. It seems to reason that if an event is not good, there is no reason to repeat it. The cardinal rule of behavior modification asserts that rewarding behaviors are repeated, whereas punishing behaviors are avoided. However, this rule is a little problematic. We don't only want satisfaction, we seek immediate pleasure. All habits have various long-term repercussions, which are frequently surprising. For example, harmful habits frequently bring instant pleasure but have long-term negative effects, whereas good habits can be difficult at first but provide long-term advantages. An instant reward is frequently favored over a later reward. People often spend their time pursuing instant gratification rather than waiting for long-term benefits. The main takeaway here is that the outcome of a behavior should be pleasing. If you want to break a negative habit, you must make the transition delightful, because change is easier when it is pleasant. To make excellent behaviors rewarding, you can 1. Monitor your progress. Keeping a notebook or chart to record your achievements can offer you with immediate joy and a sense of accomplishment. 2. Reward yourself. Set up a reward system for completing a habit. For example, reward yourself with something modest when you accomplish an exercise or a chore. 3. Visual clues. Use visual cues to track your success, such as a jar where you add a penny each time you perform a habit. Seeing the jar fill up may be both rewarding and inspiring. 4. Make it enjoyable. Find strategies to make the habit more enjoyable. If you want to exercise, do something you enjoy, such as dancing or playing a sport. By making excellent habits gratifying and pleasurable, you enhance the likelihood of adhering to them. Remember, the idea is to make the procedure enjoyable so that you want to repeat it, reinforcing healthy habits while eliminating negative ones. How to maintain good habits every day. When Benjamin Franklin was in his 20s, he carried a tiny booklet with him every day to record his 13 personal virtues. This list featured goals such as lose no time, which means not wasting time, and constantly doing something valuable. At the end of each day, he would examine his list and track his progress. This strategy, known as habit monitoring, is a simple way to keep track of your routine. Habit monitoring is effective because it applies numerous rules of behavior modification. 1. Make it obvious. Habit tracking makes a habit more evident. Every time you open your list, you see your goals written down, which reinforces your behavior. 2. Make it attractive. Behavior monitoring makes any behavior more fun because progress is the most effective motivator. Seeing visible evidence of your progress can be extremely gratifying. 3. Make it satisfying. It's common knowledge that ticking an item off a to-do list feels extremely fulfilling. Seeing your progress and outcomes is intrinsically satisfying. Habit monitoring is essential for keeping motivated, since it helps you focus on your goals. Here are some strategies for efficiently tracking your habits. 1. Use a journal or an application. Keep a dedicated journal or use a habit tracking software to record your everyday habits. This might serve as a visual reflection of your progress. 2. Establish clear goals. Define success criteria for each habit. Clear, quantifiable goals help you grasp what you need to do each day. 3. Maintain a constant track. Create a daily process for reviewing and updating your habit tracker. Consistency is essential for creating and keeping habits. 4. Celebrate minor victories. Acknowledge your accomplishments. Celebrate your accomplishments, no matter how tiny, to stay motivated. 5. Review on a regular basis. Review your habit tracker on a regular basis to analyze your progress and make any necessary improvements. Reflecting on your path helps you stay on track with your goals. By including habit tracking into your daily routine, you establish a framework that helps good habits persist. It creates a sense of accountability, drive, and fulfillment, ensuring that you stay focused on your personal development and goals. How an accountability partner can alter everything. We avoid repeating painful experiences as much as we do enjoyable ones. Pain is a good teacher. If failure is painful, we are driven to solve it. However, if failure has no immediate consequences for us, we tend to overlook it. We learn more from mistakes that are both immediate and costly. For example, the fear of receiving a negative review motivates an employee to perform better. Extreme consequences cause people to learn quickly. This is why having an accountability partner can be so beneficial. Knowing that someone is observing you helps you stay motivated and powerful. If you have to face direct consequences for your behavior, you are less likely to put off your work. If you postpone, your manager may perceive you as lazy and untrustworthy. We all value the opinions of those around us, especially those who can help us go to the top. An accountability partner ensures that someone is constantly available to track your progress. Here's how an accountability buddy can help. 1. Provide immediate feedback. An accountability buddy offers rapid feedback on your behavior. This allows you to swiftly notice and remedy problems. 2. Motivation. Knowing that someone is holding you accountable encourages you to stick to your goals. The desire not to disappoint your mate can be a strong drive. 3. Constancy. Regular check-ins with your accountability partner ensure that you maintain consistency in your efforts. This constancy is essential for developing and maintaining positive behaviors. 4. Support and encouragement. An accountability partner provides support and encouragement, allowing you to stay optimistic and focused on your goals. 5. An honest evaluation. They provide you an honest assessment of your development, highlighting areas for growth and recognizing your accomplishments. To make the most of an accountability partnership, 1. Choose wisely. Choose someone you trust and respect, who is dedicated to assisting you in achieving your goals. 2. Create clear expectations. Define your goals and how your partner can help you stay accountable. 3. Regular check-ins. Schedule regular check-ins to discuss your progress and any challenges you are encountering. 4. Be honest. Be upfront and honest about your accomplishments and challenges. Transparency is critical to the partnership's effectiveness. By having an accountability partner, you can develop a system of external checks and support that will help you stay on track and achieve your objectives more efficiently. When a habit is practiced over an extended period of time, it can become routine and dull. What was once exciting and satisfying now feels like just another part of your day. This dullness is one of the most difficult tasks you will face. We become bored with our routines since they no longer bring the same amount of enjoyment, and we are continually expecting a result. It doesn't matter what you want to improve at. If you just do something when it excites you, or if you only practice a habit when it excites you, you will not be consistent enough to attain big outcomes. Yes, there will be days when you want to give up, but the key is to persevere even when it is difficult, dull, or tiring. This is what distinguishes amateurs from professionals. The only way to succeed is to do your job with passion and enjoyment. The disadvantage of habits is that we often fail to detect little errors. If you perform something frequently out of habit, you may not enhance it. However, you don't need to be too concerned because some habits don't require continuous improvement. For example, how you tie your shoes does not require continuous improvement, but if you want to perfect a skill, simply having a habit is insufficient. You must practice diligently until you master particular talents. Here's how to get from okay to exceptional. 1. Embrace dullness. Recognize that not all moments will be exciting. Accept the monotony and keep moving forward. This is where actual growth occurs. 2. Continuous improvement. Always search for modest ways to boost your performance. Don't fall into old thinking and acting patterns. Life is continuously changing, and your habits and beliefs should follow with. 3. Self-awareness. Second, maintain a high level of self-awareness. Regularly analyze your performance and seek for opportunities for improvement. Avoid being complacent. 4. Deliberate practice. Deliberate practice entails practicing with the goal of improving and focusing on the parts that present the most challenge to you. This is how you achieve mastery over time. 5. Seek feedback and then ponder on it. Understand what works and what does not. Make changes to your strategy based on the feedback you get. By combining these advanced strategies, you can overcome the early excitement and monotony of your habits and continue to grow. This method will help you obtain not just good, but absolutely exceptional outcomes. Conclusion. Atomic Habits by James Clear is a complete guide to understanding and changing our habits. The principles outlined in the book are not just theoretical, but also practical procedures that can be taken in everyday life to generate astonishing outcomes. Following the 4 rules of behavior change, make it evident, appealing, simple, and fulfilling. You may build an environment that encourages beneficial habits while reducing negative ones. One of the important messages is the significance of making small, gradual changes. We often underestimate the power of little, persistent improvements over time. These 1% gains, compounded daily, can result in huge changes in our lives. By focusing on the process rather than the outcome, we may remain inspired and devoted to our goals. The book also underlines how our environment and social circles influence our habits. Surrounding ourselves with supportive, like-minded people and arranging our environments to encourage positive behaviors can significantly improve our capacity to cling to new habits. Furthermore, Clear emphasizes the necessity of self-awareness and deliberate practice in attaining mastery. It is not enough to just follow a habit. We must always look for methods to develop and adapt to new problems. This necessitates a mindset of continuous learning and resilience in the face of monotony and failure. Atomic Behaviors lays out a plan for improving your life by focusing on minor behaviors. Understanding the science of habit development and adopting the tactics discussed will allow you to make long-term changes and reach your greatest potential. Remember that success is not the result of a single spectacular event, but rather the accumulation of little, consistent actions over time. Begin small, maintain consistency, and watch as your efforts compound into remarkable outcomes. Thank you for listening to James Clear's audiobook synopsis of Atomic Habits. We hope you found the ideas and strategies useful and that you are encouraged to make tiny, positive changes in your life. Remember that little, consistent activities contribute to big transformations over time. You may establish a system that promotes ongoing progress and success by making your good behaviors clear, appealing, simple, and rewarding. If you enjoyed and found this overview useful, please subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends and family. Your support allows us to continue providing you with material like this. Don't forget to leave a comment below and tell us the habits you intend to develop or change based on the Atomic Habits concepts. Stay tuned for additional summaries and insights from the top personal development books available. Until next time, continue to strive for progress rather than perfection, and watch your efforts compound into remarkable outcomes. Thank you and be careful.